We're in the field just having a little picnic. We had a pond. It was about 300 or 400 feet away. Very beautiful day, very windy. This field was a field that Dad usually cut hay a time or two a year. The grass was very high though. It was time to cut it. So we're sitting there having a little picnic. And I'm looking off in the distance and I see something, and I mention it to Dad. He don't know what it is. I look at it again as I'm trying to eat my sandwich, and it looks like a dark something that's going down to bigger. It almost looks like a cone. And I then explained that to my dad, and he says that's just a cattail. Cattails are close to the pond, and that one must be just a little further away. You must just be seeing a cattail. But this cattail, I told my dad, it was not moving like the other ones. This thing, whatever it was swaying back and forth as like a person would be when they're rocking. It looked like to me that it was a hat of some kind. Well, I'm kind of familiar with the folklore of gnomes that my mother and father had told me a long time ago, or a few years ago rather, how they were actually friendly, and they were like a keeper of forest, and they loved animals, and different things about it. Anyways, I'm only around 9 years old, so I can't remember everything they tell me at the time. So anyways, I asked if I can go down and just take a look. My dad said, go ahead, just take your sandwich with you. I get up and I go for a walk, and I'm walking through the grass, and I get over by the pond, and it's just a couple minutes, and as I'm walking around the left-hand side of the pond, I'm just looking at this thing in the grass, and it's just kind of rocking back and forth, or side to side rather, and I'm getting closer, and I'm seeing that it is a hat. This hat is resting upon the head of something very small. And this very small thing has got big ears, whatever it is. And could this be a gnome? I get a little closer. I'm maybe 15 to 20 feet. And I say, hey. It doesn't say anything. I say, again, a little louder. I say, hey. It slowly turns its head to the left. And then it turns its head back very quickly. I said it again. I said, hey, come here. I hold my hand out like an idiot and say, come here. This thing stands up, and it turns around, and it's looking at me. Its eyes are small as buttons. It's got a beard. Its nose is kind of pointy, and its face is drooping a little bit. Clothes are rather baggy looking, ripped up, old, dirty. His shoes are so wore out that they're about off his feet. He walks a little close to me, and he says, hey. This kind of scared me, made me jump back just an inch or two. He said, hey, don't be afraid, it said. I asked it, what's your name? Lioness, it said. I said, what are you doing here? I've never seen one of you guys before. He just looked at me kind of funny, turned his head kind of sideways like a dog does. He said, I'm waiting on my family. We're going to the water to fetch and take back. And I said to them, to this gnome, I guess. I said, "Where do you live?" "Just over in the woods," it said. I said to it, "Where at in the woods?" "We just lived over in the woods." "I'd love to meet your family," I said to the creature, to this gnome, to whatever it was. Well, this little thing said, "No, the best thing for you to do is to turn around and go back over there where you were at, because my family does not like humans." Well, I proceed to ask him why. He says his family does not like humans because we tore down their homes, we've cut down their trees, and we've caught and eaten their fish. And I said, "Okay, I'll go back, but can I tell my mother and father about you?" Well, Linus, if this is his real name, says, "No." This scares me. So I go back, don't know really what to do. Dad just tells me when I get over there that we're going to go back up to the house, and I tell him, I said, "Wait, I seen something." And he said, "I know that, son. You went down there to see what it was. What was it?" I said, "It was a gnome." And, "Oh, you're just kidding me, son. You're just using your imagination," Dad told me. "I'm not kidding, Dad." Mama's over there kind of giggling. She said, "You got such an imagination. Let's go back to the house." So we're walking back up to the house, and the whole time I'm looking behind me, and he's still down there. And as we get closer up to the house, I tell them to go on inside. I'm going to sit on the back porch, because our back porch, it faces towards that part of the property. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just watching this little gnome, if that's what he is. He's standing there, and from what I could tell, he's facing me. And he holds up his hand, and he's pointing kind of towards in my direction. And then all of a sudden, I see a bunch of these little gnomes, or whatever they are, there again, they're running out of the woods. I can see them kind of running towards the pond, and they're going around on both sides rather quickly. I stand up, and I don't know what to do. I run into the house, and I grab my dad, and I tell him to hurry up and get outside and look. And by the time that he gets on the back porch, he sees them running up the little hill in our backyard. We run into the house, and he closes and locks the door, grabs his shotgun, opens up the little side window in our kitchen, and he begins to shoot at them. And there he is, shooting one at a time, dead. In just about a 30-second time, he's out of bullets. And by then, the gnomes are on the back on our porch trying to jump up into this window. And as my dad is trying to close the window, one bites him right on the hand, and he's able to push it out the window, and he gets the window shut. They're jumping up onto the window trying to break it. He goes back into his room, and he grabs his other shotgun and some more shells, and he loads both guns, and he's shooting through the window, breaking it, trying to shoot as many as he can. But it seems like as many as he is shooting, the more is trying to get in. And eventually, they do get in the house. Mom has locked herself in the bathroom, screaming and yelling for me to come into the bathroom. I go into the bathroom with her, reluctantly, and I can hear my dad screaming and yelling. And then all of a sudden, The screaming stops. What happened to him, Mom? I don't know, son, she said. We sat in the bathroom for about 5 minutes and didn't hear anything. I crack open the door just a little bit and look through, and I don't see anything. But I can see my dad's hand, his arm laying flat on the floor because there's a wall kind of in front of the door. And I walk out of the bathroom, and as I come around this little wall in the doorway entrance into the living room, I turn around and look towards the kitchen where he was at. He's laying there. These gnomes are gone. They just attacked my dad. He's dead. What happened? Mom is panicking and screaming. I'm crying. She tells me to give her the phone. She's calling 911. She calls. And then the cops didn't believe her. And I told her, you shouldn't have told them that you seen gnomes attack Daddy. They're not going to come out here. I said, give me the phone, Mom. I call them back. I called them back, and the 911 responder was there on the other end. I told her that my mother was panicking, and I don't know why she told them that what she said, but the real problem was that my daddy was laying here about dead. They said, we've got somebody en route already. So about 20 to 25 minutes later, 2 ambulances pull up and a couple police cars pull up and a fire truck, and they do some investigation. They're outside looking around. They can see the broke window, of course, and they ask us different questions, and I basically told them kind of what Mom said about something attacking Dad. But the minute after he stopped screaming, we were in the bathroom. The minute after Dad stopped screaming, while he was in the kitchen, it was over. And they could clearly see there were bite marks all over him. They wanted to take me and Mom into the station to question us more. They wanted to check both of our mouths to see if we had been biting Dad. And I looked at them like I was crazy, but really like they were crazy. Why would I bite my dad all over his body? To kill him? Well, the police officer told us they have to look at a broader spectrum. They have to look at all sides of the story, and I understand that. Even as a 9-year-old kid, I understand this. So here I am in shambles because I just lost my father. And while I'm in the police station, I don't know where my mom is. She's talking to somebody in another room. I'm sitting in this little room with a table and 2 chairs with a window and a blind. I'm assuming it's some kind of room they use for questioning. All of a sudden, I hear something go, psst. I'm just looking around. Hey, I heard. Lioness, I said. Hey. I could feel something tap my leg. I scoot the chair back and I look, and Linus, this gnome, is standing under the table. I said, come out of there. Come out of there right now, I said. He steps out from underneath the table. And then I stand up, and then this very moment, he begins to get taller. He grows I don't know how tall he became, but he was taller than I was. He had to have been at least 5 or 6 feet. I run out of this room and I grab a police officer and ask him to come in here very quick and look. And when the cop comes in, Linus is gone. The police officer tells me to just sit down and he'll be right back. So I'm just sitting here, just thinking about what just happened, because the gnome that grew a lot bigger than he was before is nowhere to be seen. All of a sudden, I can hear something. Almost sounds like little evil kids laughing. I have no idea where they're coming from. I get automatically just cringed by this, and I get up out of the chair and something grabs me by the ankle. I may just be 9 years old, but I'm not going to put up with this. I didn't even bear to look. I just ran for it, through the door, found Mom, told her that I was ready to go. She said she was done anyways, even though she was still sobbing. I was extremely sad as well myself, and still in that same state as Mama, missing Dad. And then all of a sudden, a police officer came up to us and said, "We need to go into this room together and talk about something." My mother says, "What are we going to talk about?" "There is something very important that we must talk about." So we all go back into the room I was in, and this police officer is just scratching his head. He says, "I don't know what just happened or what we thought we were looking at, but what kind of game are you guys trying to play with us?" "What game?" my mother said as she's crying still. The police officer says, "We found your father." And I look at this cop dead in the eyes and I say, "What do you mean you found my father? He's dead." The officer says, "No, sir. Young man, your dad is just over in the other room." The cop said, "Your dad said he was in a car accident and he just got out of the emergency room." My mother said, "He doesn't have a car. He has a pickup truck. He wasn't in the emergency room. He was with us. We were on a picnic. He was attacked by these little creatures that looked like gnomes." The police officer then started laughing. And he was just carrying on like nothing had happened. I told Mom that I don't think I want to go see Dad because that's not really him. She looked at me kind of funny looking, and I think she understood what I was trying to say. However, things seemed kind of odd to me at this minute. I felt like I was kind of having a dream. Maybe I was. I really, really do wish that somebody would slap me in the face, because this cannot be happening.